Okay, let us create a form where the user is allowed to register on the website, and the user can enter the name, email, and the password and the confirmed password. Okay, and what will be sent to the Thunk, that will be the name, email, and password. From Thunk, it will go to the uh, server's index.js file, where this data will be collected and pushed to the MongoDB database. And once the job is done, then the control will come back to the login page. So this is a target to make a simple registration form without validation. Okay, so for opening this form, okay, so this is the component register one, and I'm giving a link to open this form inside the login.js page. So if I click the login.js page, you can see here this sign up now. So this text sign up now, you see here the login page, and if I click here, then the root will be register one. Okay, so you can see here when I click here sign up now, the root is register one, right? Okay, and the link to this and the root for this register one is specified in the app.js file. So in the app.js file, you can see that if the path is or root is register one, then the register one component will be opened, and this is the component which we are making now. Okay, so I'll start with const. Name of this main function will be the same as the name of the file, which is register one equal to parenthesis, okay, arrow operator, and then I have curly brace. Inside this, I have return statement. Inside the return, I can use div, or since I'll be using React Step, so I'm just writing here container, and inside this, let me have one row, and inside the row, let me have one call. Okay, so this container, row, and call, these are the React Strap element, right? So let me just put some text here just to see the output on the web page. So let's say h1, say register now. Okay, so you can see here container is not defined, row is not defined, because we have not imported the React Strap in the in our component. So let me import the React Strap. So import. So for the React Strap, we need to import container. So you know that all the elements in the React Strap, they're just like HTML elements, almost like HTML elements with some extra elements, and their names start with capital letters. So container, inside the container, I will have a row element, and inside the row, I can have columns, COL columns, just like a table has a row and column. So here, row and column we can have, and the advantage is that anything you put inside the row and column, they automatically become responsive and centrally assigned. So much easier to manage. So row, column, then I will need a form. So again, form, F capital, and form group. So this I will just, we can use it to group some form elements. I will try to group uh, the controls and the labels, and we will have input controls, and we will have label, and we will have the button which we will use as submit button, right? So I've imported this and I have used it here. I have just displayed the text register now because this component should be exportable. Export default. So by default, which function will be exported? It will be register1, right? Let me just refresh it. Okay, so the page is working. And now let's add our form inside this. But before that, we need to import certain things. For example, let's say I have to import the use state hook React. So okay, so the use state will be needed as I need to remember the state of all my form elements. So that's why I'm keeping it. I'm using use state here, importing use state here. Then I need to import the use dispatch from React Redux. So since I have to send this form data to the Redux store, okay, so I need to have use dispatch. Then I need to import use navigate from React Router DOM, because once the registration is successful, I want the control should automatically navigate to the login page. So that's why I will need here use navigate. So we'll create an object of that, or we'll create a function of that to send the control back to the login page. And I need to install also import a register user from features user slice. So we are yet to uh, deal with the Redux store or the concept of user slice, but just remember that this form data has to be sent to the thunk called register user, which will receive this data and then make a synchronous request to the server's index file to send this data to the server. So we have to create this thunk inside the file user slice. So even this user slice also we are yet to create. So we'll come to that later on. First we'll finish our form, right? So after this imports, then inside this register1 and before the return statement, I will create use state variables for the name, email, password, and confirm password. Okay, so const name is the use state variable for storing the name, and set name is the function that can change this name. So use state. So I just keep these things empty in the beginning and updating the email. Then we have, and I just keep the initial value as empty string. And of course, the last one is const confirm password, and the function to change this confirm password set confirm password use state. So these are my use state variables. Okay. So basically these are the values from these variables which I have to send to the user register user thunk in the user slice file. Okay, now I will also create dispatch function based on use dispatch. So this will be used to send the data. And I'll also create the navigate function based on use navigate library to send the control back to the login page once the registration is successful. And of course, I have to create a function which will handle this form submission. So I will create a function and I'll call it handle submit. So the purpose of this function is to collect data from the form or from the use state variables and then send it to the thunk register user. So handle submit equal to, and let's say here I'm receiving E means the event. So when you click on the submit button, the event will be fired and this E will have all the details linked to that event. So I have an arrow operator here and I have starting and ending. So this is the block of the function. So I will use e.prevent default to make sure that the form is not submitted again when it is rendered again. And then let me just use my try catch block. So I will try to do something. I will try to send the data to the thunk, and if there is some problem, if there's some error, this catch will catch that error. Let me call it as an error. Okay. So first I'll write the code for the error. So it's, in case there is some error, I will just use console.log to display that error. So the message error, and what exactly error? The catch will catch what exactly is the error, and it will display in the console. Okay, so now the main purpose of handle submit is to collect the data, which is the use state variables. So I will create one object, let's say user data. I'm calling it user data because it carries data of the user. Okay, and specific in the object, because we have key value pair, you can write, let's say name, right? So this name is a string which will carry the use state name, okay, which we defined here, right? So whatever is the name, it will be assigned to a kind of a string name. Okay, I'm just keeping the same name, but just remember the one on the right side is the use state variable, and one on the left side is kind of a variable name which will carry this data which is stored in this, right? So similarly for email, so email, this will be assigned, this key will be assigned the use state variable email, which is storing the email typed by the user in the form, and again the key password, and this will be assigned the use state variable password, which stores the password typed by the user. So we have this object, right? Then this object we have to send to the thunk or the Redux store. So for sending the data from the form to the Redux store, we use the dispatch method. Okay, but for sending data from the thunk to the index.js on the server, we use the library like Axios or Fetch. Okay, in our course we are using Axios. So we will use the dispatch function that we created using the use dispatch. So we will use it here, dispatch. Then inside this we will specify the name of the thunk that will receive this data. So let's say name of the thunk will be register user. Okay, and this, what data we have to supply to register user thunk? This is the user data that we just created now here, which consists of name, email, and password, right? So you can just copy this and you can paste here, right? So this dispatch will send the user data to the thunk register user. This will send the data to the index.js file of the server. Index.js server file will then push the data inside the MongoDB database, and then the control will come back to index.js. From there it will come back to the thunk. From there it will come back to here, and once the registration is successful, then I want that the control should go back to the login page. So for sending the control back to the uh, for moving the control to some other component programmatically, we use navigate, which we just created based on use navigate, right? So inside this we just have to specify the root. So for the login page, our root, if you see our app.js file, for the login component, the root is /login. So in the navigate I will write this root. Okay, so when it sees this root login, then the component login will open. So here I will just put the root here /login. So now inside the return, now I will create the form which will be used to enter the name, email, password, or confirm password, or modify this information, right? Okay, so inside below this heading register now, I will create a form using the React Strap form element. So it's form, and when this form is submitted, so I'm just writing an event here on submit. Which function will handle the form submission? We made this function handle submit. So this we have to specify the name of the function here. Okay. Okay. Now, so let me just display this output also here. So when we create the form, automatically the whatever code we write, the output will come here. So inside this, I will just create the form group to group the label and the input. So form group, and inside this, first I will create a label, and this label to show the text that you have to enter the name, right? So you can see here, this name you can see here, right? And inside the label, this label is for the input whose name will be name. Okay, so I'm just yet to create a text box or a control whose name is name, right? So in the next, I will create this. So again, React Strap input. So capital INPUT input slash close. So this is my input control. You can see here just by typing input, I get a styled text box, right? Okay, I didn't specify any class automatically. It is making this text box stylish. Okay, so in this input, I will specify the type equal to text because we have to enter some text here. And let's say, let me give it ID name. So let's say name equal to, in fact, we will not need this also. Anyway, the value. So what will be the value inside this text box? So that will be the use state variable name. Okay, so right now the use state variable name is empty, so you don't see anything here. But if I put some value in the use state variable here, let's say Samesh, so you can see here the value of the use state variable comes here, right? So let me initially keep it empty only. Okay, so when I make it empty, this also becomes empty. So okay, so this is the value, but if you change something in the text box, then the value of this use state variable name should also change. So if there is an event on change means if you type something in the text box, then what to do? So here we have an anonymous function. Okay, the argument is the event. So this will have all the details about the event, uh, the name of the control, type of event, click or double click or right click, and many other things. So from here, we will call this use state function for the name, which is set name. Okay, so this set name, because name state is the use state variable, and only this set name can change the value of this use state variable to name. So for changing value of name, we have to use set name. So set name, and inside this e dot target dot value. So whatever is value, okay, inside the target component, which is this text box, okay, so that value will be assigned to the name, right? So you can see here, I can change the value here, right? So make sure, right? And if you just want to display, if you want to check whether the value of the use state variable changes, you can just below the input control, you can just write the name of the use state variable. And you can see here, I'm displaying here name of the use state variable, and inside the text box, I have an event on change. That means if I type something in the text box, then set name changes the value of the use state variable name. And every time when the value of the use state variable is changed, we know that component is rendered again with the fresh value, right? So you can see here, whenever I change something, okay, you can see here the value of the use state variable also changes immediately. Okay, so we have this one use state variable here, right? One text box here. So next is I have to make the email. So I will just copy this form group. I'll copy this whole form group, and I will just change the properties, whatever properties are needed. So I'll copy here, and the second one, this for the email. So here I just write here email. So you can see here the text here becomes the email, and let's say the name of this text box, we will give it email. So this label email is for the text box or control email. So here in the input, type is equal to, let's say, email, and ID, let's say email, and the name also email, right? Because this label email is for the control whose ID or name is email, right? And the value here, what value display here? We have to write the name of the use state variable which stores the email. So the name of that use state variable is email, and the function which can change that email is email, right? So you can check here for email, the use state variable is email, and the function which can change the email is set email. Okay, and here I can just to check whether the use state variable is changed when I type my email, I can just display the use state variable email here, right? So here if I write here at the rate, so whatever I type, the use state variable is changing, right? So at any time, the use state variable is available with the latest information in the form, and it can be sent to the thunk. Okay, so I'll copy this form again for the password. Sorry. So here, from here, form group to form group, right? Okay. So now this will be for the password. Okay. So let's say this is password. So you can see here this text is to password, and let's say the control where we'll put password, we'll give it name password. So name of this input control is password. So because we are entering the password here, so input type will be password, and ID also I'll keep it password, and name also I'll keep it password, and the value, so the name of the use state variable for password is password. So let me copy from here and we put here password, and the function which can change the password use state variable is set password. Okay, and at the bottom for testing I will just put the password here, although we should not display the password on the screen, but it's only for testing purpose. So if I put some password here, like, okay, So what you see here, because this input type is password, so you cannot see the password here, right? But in the label, if I just display the value of the password, the value is being displayed here. Okay. Now the last control is the confirm password. So I just copy this form group again here, and here it is, the label is confirm password, and let's call it this as we'll call this control where we are putting the confirm password. We'll give it name or name and ID as confirm password, and here type will be password, of course, and ID confirm password, and name also will keep the same, confirm password, and value, the name of the use state variable is also confirm password, or different, let's say, yeah, confirm password, P is capital, right? So confirm password, and the function which can change the confirm password is set confirm password. Okay, so you can see here confirm password and here, and at the bottom for testing my use state variable confirm password, I just write here the value of the use state variable confirm password, right? This is the submit button. So since we are using React Strap, so let's say just create a button here in the end. So B capital button. So what is the text of the button? Register. So you can see here register, right? And we can use the standard color for the React Strap button also, just like Bootstrap. Primary. So this will just change the color of the button. Okay, this value small, so small case color primary. Okay, and type is equal to, so okay, for this button we will be using as submit button. So type of submit, right? So when you click here on this button, then it is like a submit form, and then we specified in the form element that when the form is submitted, then handle submit function is called. Okay, this function will read the data of the use state variable name, email, and password, and assign to the uh, kind of the keys name, email, and password. Okay, so it will create a user object with the name, email, and password, and this user object is sent to the register user thunk in the user slice. Okay, it will be sent using the dispatch function, right? Okay,